I am William Kumwembe with Business Time. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country, courtesy of Old Mutual.
Insuring and saving with Old Mutual means growing crops, growing jobs, growing a future. Creating mutual futures, your money invested for the good of all.
Coming up in the program today, we speak on strides towards accelerating growth for budding entrepreneurship in the country under the Malawi Growth Accelerator. And also in the program, architects for coordination on secondary cities creation. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time, and in our main story in the program today, lack of access to finance, access to land, high business operating costs, and low production capacities are some of the major challenges SMEs continue facing in the country. This is despite SMEs being in numbers at about 1.6 million according to the 2019 Malawi Finscope Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Survey, and employing about 1.8 million people. It is estimated that SMEs contribute about 40% to the gross domestic product and 24% of employment, and about 21% of the country's adult population derives their livelihood from the sector. Now, in a bid to necessitate growth for local budding entrepreneurship, the Growth Accelerator program was launched some years back. We caught up with Growth Accelerator Malawi project manager Tambula Nchunga on impact of the initiative.
The Growth Accelerator is a private sector development instrument which is aimed at accelerating growth for young entrepreneurs who have got growth plans, wanting to grow, but at the same time they have got limitations in terms of mainly their capacity. Then, of course, there's an issue of financing, which is also required. If we help young entrepreneurs who have got post-sales ideas and they grow, they will not only grow their revenues, they will also grow in terms of the impact which they will have in the economy. So in terms of maybe if they are working on processing some products which they are buying from the locals, there are some projects which are working with farmers who are supplying milk, maybe honey. These farmers, they are earning income from the same entrepreneur. That's an economic impact which the development partners are looking at. And at the same time, after some of the products have gone through or the services have grown, they will take out some of the products maybe we are importing, import substitution. So in the whole ecosystem of entrepreneurship, we are looking at a much bigger impact from the economic and social perspective, besides the fact that these entrepreneurs will grow and contribute to the economy of the country, the other benefits which will come with, of course, with the businesses. When they grow, they start paying taxes to government, which will contribute to the overall economic development of the country. So in terms of the eligibility criteria, we are looking at young entrepreneurs who have got post-sales ventures, so to speak. So entrepreneurship, which is post-sales, like they have been in business for almost two years at minimum with a tracking record, and they should be registered, of course, with the register of companies. They should be registered with MRA. We are looking at those who are willing, of course, to undergo the other components of the technical support and the mentorship program. The Growth Accelerator provides a co-financing of up to $40,000. So it comes as a grant. We are calling it a co-financing because the entrepreneur has to contribute a cash contribution as well of at least 30% of that 40,000. I think they should always be looking out. We have got our website where we advertise for support from time to time. It's in www.growmalawi.org. Or you just type Growth Accelerator Malawi. You'll be able to go to the website. As I speak now, on the 19th of September, we opened the call for cohort 7 and 8. So it was a double launch. This now is open for application. There's one, cohort 7 is financed by our development partner KFW, which is a general window looking at any entrepreneurship from any angle, whether you are doing any products, services, in any space. So long you are a venture working in Malawi, you are registered in Malawi, you meet the eligibility criteria, you can participate. Then cohort 8 is looking at agriculture. So this is funded by the Royal Norwegian Embassy. So the main focus is to look at ventures which are in the agriculture space. Can be agribusiness, can be an value addition in agriculture, can be modern way of farming. If you are in those spaces, whether agriculture or you are doing these irrigation, so any space, but you are a venture, a young entrepreneur in that space, you can apply.
Now, Forex scarcity has had an impact in many sectors of the economy, with fewer queues resurfacing lately. This comes as Malawi, a predominantly importing nation, has been faced with growing mismatches on Forex supply and demand. In this report, Justin Kwewo examines the extent to which the problem has affected the private sector and the economy at large.
Queues like the one behind me are now the order of the day. Every time you pass by the city or even in the districts, you find queues like this. These are not intentional or voluntary. These are queues of people longing for just a little bit of fuel. But we need to look at how this affects the economy in a deeper way. We need also to examine in terms of how this affects the common man on the ground. These queues are people searching for fuel. But for fuel, there is no hope for it that these queues will go away anytime soon. Because when Times spoke to Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority Mayor spokesperson Fitina Konje, she said that it is because of the shortage of foreign exchange. The dollar, to be specific. The dollar has been scarce in the country for long now. And there is no hope that soon we might start having it in abundance. Because the dollar improved when the tobacco market was in progress. But now the tobacco market is gone. For the country to have another or similar tobacco market is next year. So where is it that the hope lies that maybe the dollar or dollars can start flowing into the country? We spoke to Bechan Chere, an economist from the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences, who said that all eyes now look to the IMF. The IMF so far have agreed with Malawi at staff level that Malawi deserves to be given the extended credit facility for its balance of payment to improve. But that remains to be known next month in November, if the board of IMF will agree with what the staff of IMF have said. If it happens that the board agrees, then at least Malawi might have some dollars from the IMF and probably have confidence for other lenders to borrow the country. But as we speak now, the situation remains the same. We spoke to some people who expressed disappointment at the situation and how things have been affected in their lives. As we said, purchasing petrol is a nightmare. Right behind me are not cars queuing to get petrol, but waiting for petrol. Not that there is petrol, but they have heard that petrol is coming. Until we have enough to export, find the dollars, and import the country will continue struggling.
This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country in partnership with Old Mutual.
Ku Malawi timanena kuti chuma chili mu nthaka. Ndipo izi ndi zoona. Zonse zimayambira pa Nazare pano. Timafuna kuti mtedza wa makademiya wa ku Malawi uzidziwika kuti ndi wabwino koposa. Tikakolola kwambiri timalembanso ntchito anthu ambiri. Ndimakhala onyadira kukhala nawo otenga mbali mu zimenezi.
Old Mutual is investing for the long term from the ground up. We call this creating mutual futures.
Welcome back. The Malawi Institute of Architects has said creation of secondary cities would require concerted effort among the government, private sector players and non-state actors. This was part of the message from the Malawi Institute of Architects as Malawi joined the rest of the world in commemorating the World Architects Day on Monday. It also comes as Malawi is in the third year of implementing the aspirations of the Malawi 2063, the country's long-term development plan, where under pillar number 3, Malawi intends to have world-class secondary cities and hubs of tourism with the requisite of modern socio-economic strides. Mayor President is Kumbo Chirwa and explains in this interview.
In terms of positioning ourselves as an industry, we are well positioned. We have the capacity and we have the ability to provide the solutions that the country needs. We have had this discussion, you and me, where we're saying, the third pillar of the Malawi 2063 is urbanization. I mean, we can't have sustainable urbanization and leave the architect out. The architect must be involved from concept to design to implementation. And we are also talking about secondary cities, I think, which is something that we're going to come to at some point. But even that, the architect needs to be involved. And our architects, our local architects, have got the capacity and the ability to execute whatever this country needs to make sure that we achieve our goal in 2063. Okay, I think the one definition that we must have in mind is that the architect designs spaces. Okay, so the architect doesn't just draw buildings. Actually, maybe that's not even the correct definition, but the architect designs spaces. Now, these spaces are like, for example, this space. You can also talk about urban spaces. So whether you want to create a city, the building blocks of this city, or one of the building blocks of the city are buildings. Now, if you want to have a secondary city in Mangochi, then you need an architect who is well versed with the culture of Mangochi, for example, with the setting of Mangochi, and they must be able to say, okay, you know what, for this particular area, I think this is the type of building that we can build in this area. So, when you want to create a city, you need an architect. Okay, of course I know that you have got planners and all the other allied disciplines, but you need the architect because he's the one who is designing all these spaces. So you have got the urban space, and then you have got the buildings or the building spaces. So from the bigger scale to the down to the smaller scale.
As you might have hinted, one of the key pillars, pillar number 3 precisely, in the Malawi 2063 is the drive towards creation of secondary cities and urbanization. Are you involved in the processes of creation, what we desire to be secondary cities in this country?
Well, which processes, maybe I may ask, because one, for example, for you as a private, if you are a private developer, you come to the architect, yes, we are involved. In as far as the government is concerned, for example, I'm not trying to say anything bad about, but for example, in the creation of the secondary cities, the idea or the concept, well, the institute was not involved, for example, I'll say that. But we've had a chance where we were speaking to the Director General of National Planning. We call him Director General or Commissioner General of National Planning Commission. He came and spoke at our annual general conference, and he challenged us to say, you know what, I want to give you a city or a secondary city where you can get involved, where you can showcase your skills, where you can we can design this city as a sample that can be showcased to everyone to say, you know what, this is how a Malawian cities should look like. Okay, so maybe in some processes we haven't been involved, but in this one we have been given a chance to see if we could adopt one city. This is the Malawi Institute of Architects. We could adopt one secondary city and then design and then showcase to the public and say, you know what, this is what we think an African city should look like, or a Malawian city should look like.
In line with these aspirations, where do you see Malawi, let's say some years away from here? But why I'm asking this question, you've oftentimes said that the role of an architect is to create, in as far as creation of these secondary cities. Where do you see Malawi as an economy, and in as far as the creation of secondary cities is concerned, say some years away from now?
Okay, so when you look at the document, the Malawi 2063 document, very ambitious, which is very good. It gives us the opportunity as architects to create, to dream and create. Actually, just recently we had a meeting with as an institute, we had a meeting with the Minister of Transport and Public Works, Honorable Jacob Hara. He gave us an audience and he challenged us to be able to dream, okay, so that we can give this country a better outlook, which is good. Now we see most of the times what we normally say, like today we are talking about resilience. One of the key elements of resilience is governance, and in there's openness and also the idea to go beyond rhetoric. Okay, so we are hoping that the government is going to go with their word and say, okay, you know what, this is what we have written in this document, and we are pushing through to make sure that it works. Because if they do that, then they're going to give us a space where we can imagine, where we can create, where we can create things. So in that space, if you just look at the Malawi 2063 document, it gives us the opportunity to create as a document. I'm not quite sure how that is going to be translated on paper, whether we're going to be given the freedom or the luxury, if you will, to dream beyond what we already have. So for example, if you want to do a primary school, are we still going to continue with the same 4 little walls and a gable roof, or maybe they're going to let us go wild, if you will, to take this country to 2063.
Now, another business news, local renewable energy startup Sky Energy Africa has officially unveiled Malawi's first electric vehicle. This was unveiled on the market on Friday. Our journalist Llewellyn Basa was there and has filed this report.
Thompson said the electric vehicle would not only address Malawi's fuel scarcity but also make strides in reducing air pollution and carbon emissions that contribute to climate-related disasters.
We have embarked on a journey today, a sustainable journey which is going to redefine the future. And as per what we have presented to you today, you can attest that EV are the future. And I'm happy that the audience and the public that were following the program has witnessed a big day in the history of Malawi, that today we have taken a step ahead. The future is very promising. As I said, these EVs are affordable, and we have to make sure that we address the challenges that are there in terms of Forex to make sure that we bring enough for the public. Our target audience is the public, the corporate. We're not leaving anyone behind because I believe everyone needs to save. And when we talk about the price, just because we haven't set the base yet, we're talking about a minimum. As you know, we have a variety of vehicles, so we're starting from less than $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, going up. So it's a diverse range of price in this regard. Well, as you can see, a step ahead alone will always need support from the government system. We need support from the financing institutions, that they put investment into this dream so that everyone can embrace and make sure that we are living sustainably by having these EVs adopted heavily in this country.
In his remarks, Minister of Energy Ibrahim Matola said the government fully endorses the initiative and is committed to its widespread adoption throughout the country.
It is a good intervention, and as government of His Excellency Dr. Razas Makata Chakwera put up some incentives and duty waivers in terms of these electrical appliances, so that people, business people, can bring a lot of these appliances in the country without getting hindrance on the duty or taxes. So it is a good intervention, as government has put some measures in order to flood the market with such type of vehicles. And it is going to save a lot. As you are aware now, the country is using more than 1,800,000 liters per day. And the commodity keeps on rising. The fuel prices worldwide keep on rising. And by the way, also the fuel, we are getting it from Beira, which is almost 900 kilometers to Blantyre, and Nakala, which is about 700 kilometers to Blantyre, and Dar es Salaam, which is about 1,700 kilometers. So it is also another challenge. But using these type of vehicles, even public transport, as other countries have done, it will save a lot, and even the congestion in our roads, they'll be minimal.
The affordability of this eco-friendly mode of transport only costs 5,000 kwacha to fully charge the vehicle for a 350-kilometer journey.
Well, with that story, we've also come to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country in partnership with Odd Mutual. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Thank you for watching, and always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and bye for now.
Brought to you by Old Mutual. Creating mutual futures, your money invested for the good of all.